All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we are breaking down a launch that was so big, it literally broke a world record. We're talking about Alex Hormozi's Money Models launch. This thing was an absolute masterclass in scale and psychology, and it pretty much rewrote the rules for how you launch a product. So let's dig in and figure out how on earth he pulled this off. So let's start with the big number. We're talking an estimated $150 million in gross sales. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That is an absolutely insane amount of money. But what's even crazier isn't just the what, it's the when.
Yeah, you're seeing that right. He did all of this in a single weekend, just 3 days. The whole thing was built around this massive live stream event that, frankly, turned the idea of a book launch completely on its head. And speaking of the book, his new book, $100 Million Money Models, sold over 2.7 million copies in 24 hours. You know, that's not just a successful launch. That is a Guinness World Record. We're talking the fastest-selling nonfiction book ever.
Okay, so that's the big question, right? How in the world did he do it? Was this just some slick marketing, or was there something deeper going on? Well, that's what we're here to do. We're going to deconstruct the whole thing, the core philosophy, the exact tactics he used, and yeah, even the controversy that came with it.
First up, the philosophy behind it all. See, to really get this launch, you have to realize it didn't just happen over one weekend. This wasn't a lucky shot. It was the result of a fundamental business philosophy that Hormozi's been building for years. And it all boils down to this one big idea: building a machine that can run, and more importantly, grow without you.
So at the very core of his strategy is this idea of system dependency. Basically, it's about building a business that relies on systems, not just on specific talented people. The whole goal is to create a well-oiled machine that functions and grows whether the founder is in the room or not.
And here's the key difference, right? You've got people dependency on one side and system dependency on the other. A business that depends on one person's magic touch, well, that's fragile. What happens when that person gets sick or wants a vacation? But a business that relies on documented, repeatable processes, now that can scale. It's the difference between a one-off amazing restaurant from a star chef and McDonald's, which can replicate its success thousands of times over.
This quote from Michael E. Gerber just nails it, doesn't it? If your business depends on you, you don't own a business. You have a job. It's an idea that was made famous in the book The E-Myth, and it's really the foundation for building something that can outgrow you. And honestly, it's this exact philosophy that made the massive scale of that launch weekend even possible.
Okay, so that's the big picture philosophy. But how did that actually translate into action? Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to break down the exact tactics from the launch event itself. I mean, this is where all that theory was put to the test, live, in front of a huge audience.
His whole sales playbook really boiled down to this simple 3-step process. First, give away just a ridiculous amount of value. Then, cleverly segment your audience. And only then, after you've done those 2 things, do you make your big premium ask. It's all about building this huge wave of goodwill before you ever ask for the sale.
So step 1, he kicked things off by giving away his entire Money Models Accelerator course bundle, plus a bunch of other stuff, for free. Totally free. You can just imagine what the live chat looked like, right? It just went nuts. This is a classic psychology move called reciprocity, but just on a massive scale. When you give people something that valuable, they feel almost obligated to give something back later.
Okay, this next part was just genius. He split the audience. He basically said, okay, all you up-and-coming entrepreneurs, I've got you covered with all this free stuff. And then he turned his attention to the established business owners. This let him make a really specific, high-ticket offer to the people who actually had the money to buy it, without alienating or pressuring all the beginners. Super smart. And then came the master stroke. He was about to ask for a $6,000 purchase, but he didn't just ask for the money. No, he completely reframed it. He turned a simple transaction into something that felt bigger. He turned it into a mission. He didn't say, hey, buy 200 books from me. He said, help me put 200 books in the hands of entrepreneurs who need them. See the difference? It's huge. All of a sudden, you're not just a customer spending money. You're a philanthropist. You're part of a movement helping other people succeed. It's a powerful, powerful shift from just buying something to doing something good.
And this is where it all came together. He cashed in on years of goodwill. Think about it. All the free YouTube videos, the podcasts, the courses, he connected this final ask directly to all that value he'd already given away. So for someone who's been following him for years, this didn't feel like some random cold purchase. It felt like the perfect chance to finally say thank you and give back.
But it wasn't all sunshine and world records. The launch also stirred up a pretty significant backlash. A lot of people felt like some of the marketing tactics didn't just push the envelope, they crossed a line.
So what were the main criticisms? Well, first, there was a feeling of fake FOMO, fear of missing out. Live-only bonuses were suddenly offered again later, which kind of defeated the purpose. Then there was some misleading messaging around a special discount for the school platform that, well, it turned out to be available to anyone. And maybe the biggest issue, the so-called exclusive premium content got leaked and spread online for free just days after the launch.
And this quote from a user on Reddit really sums up how a lot of the buyers felt. Imagine you just dropped $6,000 on something you thought was special and exclusive, only to see it passed around for free a few days later. It created a real sense of buyer's remorse and left people wondering what they had actually paid for.
Which brings us back to the big question we started with. Was this a marketing masterclass, or was it just manipulation? Did it push the boundaries of what's possible in a good way, or did it rely on tactics that ultimately burned through the trust of the audience? The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, but it's an absolutely fascinating case study of that very fine line between powerful persuasion and outright manipulation. And that's a line that everyone in business has to think about today.